Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad to have you here again. Another amazing Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. We've got another amazing guest. We share some similarities a little bit. You know, we both have this counselor background and everything. And so I'm looking forward to hanging out with her. But for you guys, hey, listen, it'll be good for you too. You'll have fun. It'll be a good time, you know, hanging out with a couple of ex-therapists probably. I don't know if she was one or not yet, but like based on her background, looks like maybe she was. And so, hey, we're going to psychoanalyze you while you go through. No, but we're going to be tuning in. Man, she's got incredible tools. She's a great tuner in herself, and she dials in her own way. And so she has another perspective, and she does something that I do not teach. She teaches around breathwork and clearing trauma. And I'm fascinated to learn more about that, because as easy as your breath, you can start clearing trauma. What? So we got to get into that today and how that can create your next level of embodied wealth and all that sort of stuff. We're going to get into it in one moment. Want to meditate and make money? Let it be simple. Let it be easy. Let it be fun. Go to yoursacredpurpose.com and get your free meditate, make money meditation today. Hi, Alyse. So glad to have you here today.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Like I said, a couple of ex-therapist types or whatever, counselor types, you know, coming together. And I don't know about you, but we're going to get into your bio here in a sec. But, you know, I got out of that whole racket because they want me to put diagnosis codes on people and everything. And, you know, it's the insurance game and all this stuff. And it's time to just let that go. Get into the deeper truth of what's really going on with people, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're definitely going to talk about that. Let's dig into that, because there's a lot of reform that's still needed in that aspect. So we'll get into all of it, but I want to tell you more about Alyse. Alyse Bacine is a breathwork practitioner, spiritual mentor, and CEO of Alyse Bacine LLC. See, I told you she's in a breathwork. She even her business name is Breeze, right? It's in there. She has her master's in counseling psychology and certifications in both social emotional learning and mindfulness practices, as well as an extensive background in the mental health field, where she served as a school counselor for 10 plus years. And listen to this, guys, this next part. And received a grant to implement a meditation program at her school. Oh my God, yes. Knowing that she has always wanted to expand her mission of healing familial and ancestral trauma and normalizing meditation, yes, and breathwork practices, yes, she opened her business and quickly became a six-figure mentor. Alyse has been featured in top publications like Oprah Magazine, Well and Good and Nylon. Alyse helps high-achieving women that feel stuck in their wealth, partnerships, psychic abilities, and or trauma transform their current realities to their next level selves. Her programs are deeply rooted in healing so that women can navigate work, love, and life as powerful leaders without the burden of trauma playing a role in their highest potential. I'm sure no one could relate, right? So yeah, I can relate as a man. I mean, so all right. Well, in sensitive and recognizing as well that it's different, right? There's some differences and commonalities too. So Alyse, so tell us about what got you into all this stuff. Why did you become a counselor? You know, my guess is you're similar to me, right? Most of us are getting into stuff like, yeah, we were the ones, you know, hanging out with our friends or our parents, even in some cases, like they're going through all their stuff. And we're like, oh, it'll get better, mom. Yeah, it'll get better, friend. Yeah, you know, and giving them guidance and counsel and everything. Let me guess, you were that one. You're nodding your head, so you did that too, right?
Oh yes. Oh yes. It's crazy too, because once I started my business, I was like, oh, wow, now I can just get paid for doing what I just do anyway.
Right, right, exactly. I mean, isn't that the way it should be? It's like I always say, like, right? I mean, as easy as your breath, what comes as easy as your breath, right? It's like that's what we're supposed to be getting paid for. And yes, we should get paid the most for that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the
I
ultimate.
always say to my clients, one of the things that helps people to open up to receiving is like getting used to the idea of getting paid just for being you. Because I think that's something that people feel really uncomfortable with. Like we have all this programming and belief systems that we have to do something we don't like to make money, or we have to sacrifice to make money, or we have to suffer to make money. And those are just all those old paradigms that we don't need to operate from anymore. Because you can get paid just for being you.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, I did a whole event not that long ago. Like, just say yes to you, like that's the way to go, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
and it's funny. It's like as much as I feel like I've been me and success and thrive and prosper, you continue to awaken. I feel like a lot of us, anyway. Like you continue. I mean, I think all of us maybe, but like keep it awakened. Like, man, I haven't really been beating myself in this area though, in this way or that way, right? And we keep waking up because it is the quote unquote traumas, right? These traumas that we've had that lock us up and freeze us in time, right? I'm
Yes.
not trying to take away all your speaking points, but I'm just saying, like, you'll go much farther than I'm going, but like, I'm just saying, like, they freeze us up, and like, then we can't even really go into those places or not that much or whatever. And we literally just end up not being ourselves. I know I've got a big background with that. Okay, so you knew you had this natural inclination that a lot of us have. Like everybody comes to us, they throw everything at us. They're like, "Oh my God, this is happening." I never told anybody this before, right? If we
Yeah.
only had a $1,000 bill for every time we've told that, we'd be already retired. So,
Yes.
because we're those natural people, or it's just safe. We know they're going to have the answers, etc. So you had that going on.
Yeah.
So did you get drawn into this based on that a lot, or was it a lot of your own stuff, a lot of your own maybe traumas and whatnot that were going on
I
that were into
I
this?
think it was both. I always my whole life was spiritual and could see beyond what was really going on. I can feel energy so deeply. Like I could always feel everyone's energy and kind of almost like know what everyone was thinking. And
Yeah.
which made me a really good school counselor, but yeah, my whole life I was kind of like that. But when I was 19, I was having my own struggles with an eating disorder and anxiety, and I was just started looking for answers because I didn't have any like big traumas that happened. Like now I understand just the relational trauma and stuff that I dealt with as a child, which I can get into more later, just about the different types of trauma. But when I was 19, I was really struggling. So I started, just going down the path of searching for answers. And then that's when I discovered yoga, which led me to discovering breath work. And once I discovered breath work, I just completely immersed myself in it. There was something about it that just really drew me in because it was kind of like this mind altering experience, this perspective shifting experience, and this really deep experience where you can like kind of go into the subconscious mind and find out why you do what you do and what are the stories and patterns that you're playing out. So I discovered this at a young age. I was only 19, and at that time I just kind of dove in and I did 4 breathworker training programs, a breathwork teacher training program. I followed different breathwork teachers all over. So by the time I was like 22, 23, I was teaching breathwork. I had clients, I was teaching group classes, but I don't think I was at the point yet where I could really start my own business. I just didn't have, I didn't have anybody modeling that to me either. My parents were both teachers. So I got my degree in education, and then ultimately ended up going back and getting my master's degree in counseling psychology, because I did not want to be a teacher. I did it for a very short amount of time. And then I was like, yeah, this is not happening. But I saw the school counselor in the school, and I was like, you know what? I know I could do that job. So I went back and I got my degree, and I ended up being a school counselor. And I was very good at it for a long time, but I always knew that I was meant to help people in a much more profound way. I knew I was kind of only utilizing maybe 10% of my abilities as a school counselor, even though I was really good at it. And it served me for a long time. And I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about childhood trauma, which really, feeds into the work that I do now. So it was like, I think, necessary experience for me, because, I'm able to now kind of meld together just my own gifts with understanding trauma and wounding, and my 10 years of experience actually working with traumatized children and really deeply understanding what trauma looks like, the way it presents, how it affects you. So it, that time was very important for me. But then I would say around like 2019, I just started getting the very strong pull that like I had to do something else. And I started working with a coach, because I wasn't sure. It was kind of what you were talking about, where we have these traumas or these belief systems that we can't see past, right? So like, even though I wanted more, I like couldn't see past what I thought was available to me, right? Which like in my life was, you work in education, like that's what my parents did, so I couldn't really see out of that necessarily. So I started working with a coach, and she helped me to see, like what I wanted to do. And then I started my business in the beginning of 2020. And I initially thought I was just going to be doing breath work with people, because that's what I had always done. And then it just snowballed very quickly into all these other things, because I started my first group program called the Metamorphosis, and I just thought it was going to be about breath work. But then what ended up happening is I saw that everyone going through the program was healing major familial and ancestral trauma. And I was like, oh, I guess this is what I do for people, is I help them heal these deep levels of trauma. So then I realized that that's what I was doing. And then I started realizing that I was actually working in the Akashic records, and it kind of just snowballed into, the breath work, and then me channeling my own energy work. And then now I have a certification program where I teach people how to do what I do, along with various other programs. And then obviously the money component came in, because I started making a lot of money very quickly. So now I have a mastermind called Accelerated Wealth, where I teach people how to clear the trauma that comes up when it comes to growing your business and expanding your income. So it just kind of all, grew very quickly.
Yeah, that is quick. I mean, to like, I don't know what to do, and I don't know. I kind of get an inkling something new wants to happen. I'm kind of thinking this, kind of thinking that. Is what I'm guessing you were saying at the time, and then to go from that, and just 3 years ago to like, yeah, I got this group going. I got stuff, I've got this 6-figure plus or whatever business it is now, but like, I've got this, I've been at Oprah and all, like that's pretty rapid. Yeah.
I mean, I think for me, I really just like, I think I always kind of knew this about myself, that I was like a spiritual teacher, similar to, I know what you shared with me on my podcast, like you kind of just always knew that about yourself. So then it was like, when I just gave myself the permission to actually be that, then things just started happening really quickly, because it was just kind of like everything was aligned. And I'm not going to say it was easy, like I had to go through a lot and deal with my own stuff. And, the one thing I will say is I always got support, I always invested in deep levels of support. So I think that was a huge piece of it too.
Yeah. So your receptivity and willing to get that support is, huge. And then the fact that, because I was going to say, I know the support is what like was huge, and you being able to do it that rapidly. It's a good point of emphasis. We don't talk about it like incessantly here, but it is true. Like I was just thinking about this myself. Like it's not like I was looking not to get the answers, but like there's been times when I've struggled with things and I was like, well, man, I can't break through in this area of my life or business or whatever it is. And it's like, man, what's going on? And then it's like, it's like you just wish, like when you look back, once you get to the breakthrough, you're like, what if I had someone like me that was wise enough, that knew about this problem, has the gifts and abilities that I have, and I can get in there and help, and in that specific way. And I feel like, you know, that's probably part of your thing too. Like you see how rapidly you've shifted, especially, you know, recently too, and like, wow, you know, you have that to share with people now. Like, hey, it doesn't have to take forever, and it can be pretty easy because you do this breath work, you do the Akashic record stuff and all that. So yeah, things can progress quickly. So let's talk about that. So we're talking about clearing those traumas through the work that you do. So people are, you know, kind of familiar with Akashic records, I'm sure, or a lot, some people. And then, you know, people are kind of familiar with breath work, or a lot, you know, depending on the listener. I think it's fascinating though, even though it makes total sense. Like, you mean literally like I just like focus on some stuff that happened to me and I breathe in a certain way or something, and that's going to release it? I mean, how does that even make sense? So talk to us. It seems like that's a huge part, the breath work part. So yeah, tell us about how it really works, like this breath work to clear trauma.
Yeah. So the way I like to describe it is there are essentially two things happening when we use the breath work. And just as an aside, the breath work that I teach is called conscious connected breathing. So it's very gentle. It's not like the, you know, 3-part breath or the ones that are a little more intense. It's just a continuous breath in and out through the mouth in a circular pattern with no space between the inhale and the exhale. So it's just, but it's very gentle. And I always guide people to really drop into their own rhythm. So you're not forcing anything. You're just kind of dropping into a rhythm with the breath. And what you're doing is you're moving energy. So essentially what's happening is, first of all, you're forcing yourself into the present moment, right? So if you think about it, you can't take a breath in the past and you can't take a breath in the future. So you have to be present when you're focusing on your breath. And we all know what is the present moment. It's the quantum field where infinite possibilities exist. So when we allow ourselves to connect with this field of infinite possibility regularly, all of a sudden infinite possibilities become available to you, right? So people's perspective changes and things open up for them in a way that it just wouldn't have before, right? New creative ideas, understandings of what you're meant to be doing, deep connection with yourself. All of these things happen when we access the quantum field regularly. So that's one thing. Then the other thing, like I said, is that we're moving energy with the breath. So why is that important? Because no humans on this planet were really taught how to deal with their emotions, right? We are emotional beings. We process the world through our emotions. And most of us were never modeled how to deal with our emotions in a healthy way, how to process them, how to manage them. You know, as a school counselor, it always blew my mind that nowhere in school was anyone really talking about emotion. And even if they tried to, they did a bad job, right? Because the teachers didn't know how to process their emotions, right? So we're all walking around with a ton of suppressed emotional energy that's just waiting to be processed, right? And then when we have a ton of suppressed emotional energy, what that can show up as is anxiety, depression, chronic pain, you know, the whole host of things like lack of sleep, whatever. There's so many things, right? Because there's so much suppressed emotional energy that just wants to be moved, right? Emotions is energy in motion, right? It just wants to be felt so that it can move and release. So when we use the breath, we give ourselves the opportunity to feel what is present for us, right? What is there, to confront it and feel it and move through it. So old emotions from the past, old programs, old belief systems, they're holding an energetic signature in our body, right? So when we use the breath and we move the energy, they move and we start to feel them and release them and what I call integrate them. So once they're actually felt and moved, it integrates, right? It dissipates. So that's what we're doing with the breath. And then additionally, when we use the breath, it gives us access to the subconscious mind. So a lot of these old beliefs that we created in childhood, right? Like from what we witnessed with our parents, either I'm not good enough or money's hard to come by or whatever we witnessed, right? We're holding these beliefs in the subconscious and we don't usually have access to them. But when we use the breath, we go into this different state where we actually have access to the subconscious mind. So we'll have new awarenesses around like, oh, like you might have a memory or a perspective shift where you access something in the subconscious that's driving the bus, essentially. So maybe you have a memory of witnessing your parents having a conversation about money. And after you witnessed that conversation, you made the subconscious decision that money is hard to come by or money is always going to be a struggle. And you're playing that out without even realizing it. So when you're doing the breath work, you have access to that. And then you bring awareness to it so that you can choose out of it when it comes up again. So we're accessing the subconscious, we're moving energy, and we're accessing the quantum field. So it gives you a ton of momentum. So my clients, especially in the beginning, when they first start the breath work, they'll just notice so many changes in their lives, so many new awarenesses, so many understandings of why they do what they do, why things are happening the way that they're happening. So it really just serves as such a powerful tool to create change, transformation, and momentum.
Yeah, I mean, just even meditating, right? I mean, just taking almost kind of like just not normal breaths, because most people, more normal breaths are shallow and short and not enough, or not, it's you know what I mean, not circulating. But yeah, just getting in a relaxed, sort of even normal breath from that place of meditation that we tend to go into. Let me put it that way. We can have new awarenesses, and like you said,
Yep.
but then you add in a breath component. Yeah, totally. I mean, I can totally deepen that awareness. And you have a great guide like you. It's like, all right, now it's, however you do it, but like now it's coming up. But then, so that's amazing. And then, yeah, because there's so many hidden things, right? Like I know when I get supported going into a meditation, with a little bit with breath and stuff, like from the person I get support from right now, it's like we just spend just 5-10 minutes doing a meditation. I'm like, oh my God, I realized so many things that like like a 5 or 10 minutes. I mean, it's like a eureka, like, and I can definitely get that on my own, but it is different, just even doing a meditative process with someone else than when you do it on your own. They're both desired and needed, or whatever you want to say, but when you have someone else guide you in that presence, it's amazing. And but I think that added into the breath. Tell us more. So how is this different from just meditating? Like I could describe it, but I'm like, okay, you should describe it. Why is this continuous breath? I would think it just deepens you, probably, right? I mean, that's my experience too, but
I think the different, I mean, it is meditative, right? But it's also, there's an active component to it of like the moving of energy, right? So when we use the breath, we're moving energy with the breath, right? And not to say you can't move energy in meditation, but it just has a little bit different of a component to it. And you kind of go into a different state, I would say, than when you're meditating. It's just a little bit different. And it has a different flavor. It has a different flavor to it. There's a lot of overlap. But I think the breath also has the ability to bring up emotions, right? So people will have experiences where they'll start crying, or even they'll start laughing, or sometimes they'll have more like spiritual, mystical experiences where they'll see visions and stuff like that. Sorry. And then some people have physical sensations. A lot of people will feel a tingling in the hands, or a tingling in the face where it almost feels like your hand is asleep, like that kind of a feeling. So a lot of people will have physical feelings too, or some people's hands will like actually clamp up a little bit. And all of that is just a lot more oxygen moving through the body and the body's reaction to it. So everybody kind of experiences it differently too. So that's why I always tell people, like, you can't do it wrong, because everyone has a different experience. And sometimes people will have these times where they kind of go out a little bit, and it's kind of like a state halfway between being awake and being asleep. And I always say that that's when an integration is happening, right? When you kind of go out and something that wants to be integrated is integrating and clearing and healing. So it's just a little bit of a different process. And I think it has the ability to kind of bring you into these altered states, that are just a little bit different than meditation.
Yeah, I mean, the truth I hear on that for sure is like it could access energy and emotion that may not come up necessarily in a regular meditation. That's possible, depending on how the meditation is done.
Exactly.
But yeah, the hand anesthesia kind of effect that can happen definitely in meditations and stuff. But I think it does it can definitely has the potential ability to deepen your presence for sure. Combining the breath work with the meditative kind of process. So it can, it's something for all of us meditators just to keep in mind, like, even if you take a tip of like continuous breath through the mouth, like just to try it on your next meditation set, I will. I don't usually do that. I usually do it. I'm usually a nose breather, like I just go through the nose and all that kind of thing. But I do it in different ways, but it's my most common way. So I'm like, oh, I don't know if I've tried that. Probably have, we over decades of doing it. I'm sure I've done that before. I don't remember doing it recently. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to try that. Right. So, and we'll play and see what happens with all that. But yeah, the power of having somebody guide you in these simple processes can make such a radical difference so quickly. What are some of so when people come in to work with you, who are these people? What's going on for them? And then I am curious, what kind of results do you see? Just even with the breath work part, let's just stay there for now. Then I want to get into the Akashic Records stuff for sure.
Yeah, well, the Akashic Records are kind of related because I think it kind of plays into everything that I do. So the way that I utilize breath work for the most part with my clients is I create recordings, like audio recordings, and I have different ones for a lot of different things, right? So for example, when I'm taking people through my program, the Metamorphosis, which is for healing familial and ancestral trauma, I have breathwork sessions for healing all different things, like for clearing your birth story, like the circumstances around your birth and the trauma around that, your mother, your relationship with your mother, your relationship with your father, your relationship with your siblings. So I've created all of these different breathwork sessions where I'm talking you through breathing and clearing these different relationship patterns, or what I call relational trauma, that you took on from these relationships with your parents and siblings. So I create breathwork sessions for specific things. And I have a bunch of other ones too. And then also for my one-on-one clients that I work with privately, I also create personalized breathwork sessions specifically for them that are coded, in their Akashic records to align them to the energy of their next level. So a lot of the breathwork that I do is through those audio recordings. And then I also, in my mastermind, Accelerated Wealth, I do live breathwork, group breathwork with them. So that's how I do the breathwork piece. But people come in, in different avenues, right? I have people that come in that just know that they have some family trauma. They have some stuff that they went through growing up that they know they need to heal and shift. So people will come in from that area, right? And then for those people, what usually ends up happening for them is, and I find this with almost everyone, that when they heal their trauma, or, it's a process, right? But when they shift it,
right.
their awareness of their psychic abilities and their gifts and their purpose just naturally comes forward. So once they heal that, they just automatically have a very clear knowing of what they're meant to do in the world. And if they already had a knowing, it'll be much more clear and deep, and they'll be ready to act on it. So with that, the person that's coming in that way, usually what happens is then I'll support them in starting their business, right? So they'll heal the trauma, they'll discover their gifts, and then, they'll want to start their business, or they've already started it, but now I'm going to help them really deepen it, right? So there's that way. And then other people will come to me more from like the spiritual perspective, like they want spiritual guidance. Like they may come in the Akashic Records route, right? Where they do an Akashic Records session with me, and then they want more spiritual guidance, and like I can kind of see what's blocking them. So they'll come to me from that route. But if they're wanting more spiritual guidance, what ends up happening is that in order for them to open up more spiritually, they need to clear the trauma, right? So it's like kind of all goes together. And then now I have the women that are coming to me that really want to grow their businesses and grow their income. So like that's more my accelerated wealth, my mastermind, or my private one-on-one coaching mentorship, where I work with you very closely to grow your business. And everything with me is from a trauma perspective. So because I truly believe that, and whatever is blocking you from your next level is a trauma or a wound or a belief about what's available to you. So we work on clearing that stuff as well. So it's kind of, I kind of get people coming in from all different ways, but it all kind of ends up leading in the same direction, which is that women just like completely opening up to who they really are, starting to grow their businesses, make more money, having their gifts and abilities really skyrocket. So, it's kind and also the other kind of byproduct of that I see with everyone is their relationships just get so much better, right? Like, so their relationship with their partner will get so much better. Their relationships with their families will completely transform just from doing this inner work, right? Like you don't even have to, I always say like, you can completely heal your relationship with your mother and never have to say one word to her about it, right? So so it's usually that's just like a byproduct of the work that we do.
Right. That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, you kind of get the full deck of everything. Of course, their health is going to improve too. So that's
Absolutely.
as
Yeah.
well, right? I mean, so whatever is going on, it's just kind of resetting people to wholeness, wellness, and everything, and all that good stuff. And what I see in you, like we're gonna get deeper into me scanning into you, tuning into you, right? We're gonna do a little bit of that anyway today. And like I'm like, yeah, you're a great possibility thinker too. So you're like, well, have you thought of this? Have you thought so not only like do they get all the deep stuff and all that stuff, which is the number one thing, but it's like then as a coach type, you can be like, oh, well, we've got a lot of resources here, a lot of possible. I can see you as with the kids, right? Well, there's a lot of possibilities here for you. And so I just see that, you got like a whole gift of different ideas. And well, that won't work because, well, yeah, but what about this? Like you're really good at that. So that's a genius zone for you.
Oh, yes. Thank you. I love that. That is true. Like my mentor actually told me that she thinks one of the reasons why I moved so quickly is because I always kind of lived in the energy of possibility, like getting curious about what else was possible. And I didn't even realize that. I guess that's just something I naturally do. But you know how when you naturally do stuff, you just think that it's normal.
Take it for granted.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that today. Like I do think about it like with um other things, but like today even I was thinking, a lot of times people try to articulate things, like come up with the words to say something. I know you're good at this too, but like, and then they can't come up with the words. Well, it's kind of like this or like that. I can't even give a firm example, but they can't come up with the words. And I'm like, oh, you mean you're trying to say this, right? Oh yeah, that's right. Like, and so I guess maybe that's sort of why I like the business coaching and a little bit of copywriting and all that stuff, because I could find the right words, but I've only recently begun to own that gift more for myself, for example, because because when it comes naturally, you're like, why can't they find the words? I don't know, like,
Totally.
right?
Yeah,
You don't get it. It's like we almost
it's
don't
so
get.
funny. It's so funny that you brought that up, because about like the copywriting and stuff, because just in the last 2 days, I've had two different people tell me how amazing my copy is. And I actually like never thought that about myself. Like I was just like, okay, I'm like doing the best I can here. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, me too. For a long time, that's
yeah,
what I thought.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. But
I mean,
then, and I was just like, oh, I guess I am good at this, you know, like you kind of don't realize until other people are like, wow, your copy's so good. And my mentor is actually like, you might want to think about teaching people this. And I'm like, really? Like, I don't even know.
right, right. Well, it's because you're channeling, you're tuning in, right? Similar
Yeah.
same as me, the same sort of thing. And I don't even know if my own copy is all that great. You know, if someone hires me to do copyright, oh yeah, okay, we're gonna get a really good copy going now, right? So, but yeah, but yeah, but my point, yeah, getting back to the gifts thing is, I imagine that people do awaken so much more, like, oh, I need a psychic course, I need an intuitive course, I need to learn how to be a healer course. I need it. But when it feels like, it sounds like when you say, well, they open up their capacities and abilities, tell me more about that, because my feeling of you is like you just, what they're hiding from themselves in a way, like it just is
Mhm.
present and clear now. It's just like, yeah, okay, yeah,
Totally.
you know, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Absolutely, because I feel like what happens when we have trauma and, you know, when we have these different programs that we're running, we are compartmentalizing parts of ourselves. And a lot of the programs that we run include shame, right? Having shame or guilt about something. And when we have shame about things, we think that we need to hide that part of ourselves from the world, right? So it creates that shadow, that part of yourself that you think is bad, and you can never let anyone know that it exists, right? But when you clear that and you stop running that program, you feel comfortable embracing all parts of yourself. And I think within that process, you start to realize what you're truly capable of and what is truly available to you. And most of the, I mean, I think every human has psychic abilities, has telepathic abilities, you know, it's just a matter of, you know, I think some people are more interested in learning about that than others. But for me, what I found is really that all we have to do is shift the trauma, and then that stuff just happens. And, you know, for a lot of the women that come to me, they already have some awareness that they
Yeah.
are, you know, they do have these abilities, but they're just kind of shut down because of everything else. And just also from the world that we live in, you know, like we
Right.
are not really told that that's a thing, or we're made to feel like it's crazy or whatever.
Oh,
So
totally.
that's not encouraged, you know, but
Oh, yeah.
once you kind of give someone permission, and we do the deeper healing around, like, you know, being seen and sharing your gifts and not being afraid of what people think of you, you know, then it just is like an open door for all of that to come forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the opposite. You got people constantly trying to prove that it's not real, right? Like,
Yeah.
probably more than anything. Oh, it's just a trick, or you know, like those mentalists or whatever. Like, it's just a trick. Everything's just a trick, and you know,
Hmm.
you know, there's this guy. Forget the guy's name. But there's this guy that used to be a magician. He's like, yeah, all you guys just say you're psychic, you're full of it, and I'll give a 50 grand or 100 grand to anybody can prove otherwise. So, but I know how this works. Like, so he brings them in these experiments, and they always fail. These people that really are psychic, right? They always
Hmm.
fail. And I'm like, yeah, because he put a spell on them. He's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't believe it. He ain't going to happen
Yeah.
here, right? He set the
Well, yeah, it's
in motion to
energy.
show it
It's
that it's crap. And then people make fun of that too. Well, you can't be psychic just because of my energy. I'm like, well, if he tested me, I think I'd probably win the money, but I'd only do it out of ego though. So I'm like, at this point, right? Maybe if I evolve, maybe I'll take the bet for just for fun. But it's like, yeah, right now I'd be like I'd be mad. I'd be like trying to prove against this guy, right? So I don't want to
Yeah.
put that energy. That's not good. So, but anyway, my point is there's just constant, if we do believe in like the cabal is trying to control, I mean, who knows how much of that is real, how much of it's paranoia, but there's something to it for sure.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, if we want to keep people asleep, we got definitely that's bullshit, like, so, yeah, definitely need to keep clearing through that stuff. So yeah, we're going to, and all the persecution, right? All my scans, like, almost everybody's been persecuted in a past life for using their gifts and
Yes.
everything, right? So,
Absolutely. I see that with pretty
mhm,
much everyone. And that's
mhm,
something that comes up for almost all of the women that I work with. So that's just something that we have to move through. And really, I think with that, it's really just a combination of getting the support and then actually taking action, right? So it's like, we can't, yes, we can heal it, but also like until you just take the action and put yourself out there and then just feel whatever you feel in that process, that's how that heals, but you have to kind of like the medicine for that is to just do it, and get support with it and feel the feelings, right? And then it shifts, right? And you gradually start to feel more and more comfortable being seen and being known for, having psychic abilities or being a spiritual teacher or healer, whatever it is.
mhm. Yeah, I'll go back to that guy again because I literally saw somebody who, I don't know if she did it my energy scan training, but I think she did, but she done other trainings. It wasn't just mine, but she was on the show with this guy, and I was like just thinking, and I have talked to her since and never really heard the answer yet, but I was like, this guy is damaging these people. Like he's telling them like you're full of shit, and then if they can't do it, it's a fragile thing for some people. They're like, well, maybe
Oh
I'm
my God. Yeah.
right. I
I
mean,
mean, the other thing too, I will say is like, as somebody that, goes into people's Akashic records and all of that, like
mhm,
if you have somebody that's closed off or that's not
yeah,
open to it, it's
right.
really difficult to get
Yes.
any information
Can
at
be,
all.
can be. It's
Yeah,
taken me
it's
lots of thousands of scans to be able to bypass that. But it's even for me, it's not as easy. It's not, I can
no, it's
do it,
not
I can
as
still do
easy.
it,
Like,
but I've developed the capacity for it. But when I first started in the first hundreds and hundreds of scans, it was really hard. Like I'd be like, okay, here's 4 or 5 things. But yeah, most people are really the average person out there that open, empathic and everything. There's a lot of tough cookies out there, but as your gifts, I'll just say this for everybody, but like as your gifts grow and you keep practicing them like anything else, eventually you can do more and more, even with closed people. But it is a lot easier when people are open. That's 100%.
so much easier. Oh my God. And then I think for me, what happens is with people that are closed off, I don't feel like it's not even a matter of like getting the information. It's a
Yeah,
matter of like them being receptive to the
yeah, yeah,
information.
yeah. Like
And
this
that's the thing
training.
that
Yeah,
is hard for me is like,
yeah,
I don't want to feel like I'm telling you this and you're not like taking it in or you're not getting it, right? Because
right,
that just creates like this weird
right,
energy with somebody. So I mean, but the people that come to me are pretty
right, right. They're
open, so I
on it,
don't have
right?
to
Yeah.
deal with that very often. It's
Right,
only like, few and far between
right,
that's
right.
really happened. There'll be occasionally that person that like says they're open, but they're not.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Totally
But
open. Let me see how you're wrong. Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, yeah. So with the Akashic records, that would be great because there's what comes up in their awareness, which may be a past life. That could happen. I could say like, oh my God, a past life or whatever. Like there's so much to the Akashic record, but like I could see it happening, but it's going to be more rare for some people. Like people like me, maybe not, but other people it'll be more rare. A lot of people, and then so with the Akashic records, though, like even me, like if you read the Akashic records, or you're taking me through a process or something, at a minimum, you're going to remind me, get my attention to something that needs attention in that moment or right now in my life, right? Whereas I may not be paying attention to that, right? So
Yeah.
that's important. And then things that need to be cleared or handled, like that I'm not paying attention to, like it's funny, we're both talking. This is the power of mentorship, guys. We're both talking about our mentors, like a mentor or a guide or healer that I have. I mean, I kind of steers all that sort of stuff in a way, but it's like she just brought up like there's 20 lifetimes of this, but if you just handle these 7 or whatever, but it's like, so it's not that I didn't know these things are there, but I needed the reminder, like, hey, this is affecting that, and you need to clean that up more in this specific way or whatever. And it's like, great, but I'm aware of it, but not, I wasn't drilled into it like she was, and I didn't take the time to do it the way she did. And it's like people are able to, catch the things that need to be caught, so to speak. So
Exactly. And even if you have, like, I find for me, like, I'll have awarenesses around certain things, but they won't drop fully in
yeah,
until my mentor says it. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I knew that, but I wasn't like fully allowing it to come into my field so that I could deal with it. Or even if it's like a business idea or something, then I'll be like, okay, yeah, I was thinking that, but I didn't allow it to fully come in, and now I can execute it. Or if it's like something that I need to clear or look at, or a new level of a boundary or whatever it is, it's like I knew it, but having that person say it back to you allows it to fully drop in so that you can actually take action on it and grow.
Right. So that's what you're all part of why you're so powerful in helping people that are, so it sounds like could usually it's always women, right? I mean, almost all your clients are women, I imagine.
I do work with some men. I do have a male client
Okay.
right now.
Okay.
But my group programs are all women.
Oh.
But I will take on male private clients, if
Yeah.
it's aligned.
Yeah. So, but how do they show up? What is their presenting problem usually? Like the ones you're working with that you're focused on the most right now, like you got that group, like where are they usually?
A lot of them are at various stages of starting their businesses. So
Yeah.
either like kind of just starting, or, kind of, like in the first year. A lot of them, some are like, in maybe the second year or something. And so a lot of them are just wanting to grow and expand, wanting to deepen the work that they're doing. And, and they do various spiritual things. I don't think anyone I have is not a spiritual entrepreneur. So mainly everyone is spiritual entrepreneurs doing, their various things that they do, which are all amazing. And then I have my certification program too. So I have, some overlap where the women in my certification program are also, running their businesses. So they're learning my techniques and applying them to what they're already doing in their businesses. So it's kind of like a big overlap of, support in various different ways. But mostly everybody, I have my metamorphosis group, which, like I said, that's my program to heal familial ancestral trauma. Not everyone in there is a business owner. Some women are just in there, for the trauma healing piece and discovering their gifts piece. And then I also have a program called the Quantum Accelerator, which is about, energetics, like learning how to work with your own energy, connecting to spirit, receiving messages. And not everyone in there is a business owner either, but in my higher level masterminds and my private one-on-one work, it's all women who are business owners.
Wow, and all these programs already developed.
I have a lot of programs. I know it's crazy.
So it's fun though. That's why I guess I'm trying to drill into it. I'm like, man, you help people a lot of different ways, and that can work. Like some people are like, wait a minute, you got too many programs. You shouldn't have more than 3 or whatever. All these different rules come in, and
there's no rules.
Exactly.
You have to do what's aligned for you. And I know for me, like I'll just get these intuitive hits about things I'm meant to share. Like I have a new program coming out that's just an 8-week program. It's called Trust, and it's all around what I call creating your own energetic trust fund. So it's just around really leaning into this energy of trusting yourself in a way that you haven't done before, right? In a way you haven't accessed before, which to me creates speed in growing your business. So that just dropped in and I'm like, boom, go. I'm doing it's
Right.
8 weeks, you know?
Right.
So I just like get these ideas. And then sometimes I'll do like shorter courses that are like just 4 weeks long because I just get an idea and I'm like, oh, I want to help people like activate this energy. You
Yeah.
know, like I just did one around being magnetic, which was like a 4-week program. So I don't really have any like rules around anything. I just kind of listen to
Your rule
what
is
I'm
download it and do it. Yeah.
and go.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. I like that. That's all part of spiritual rock star formula. Oh, there we go. Copyright. Yeah, right. Or TM it or whatever. Trademark is what I'm trying to say. Okay. But
Yes.
okay, great. So I know you have a free gift for everybody. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different potential places people might be, and they could all benefit from breath work. And I know that's part of your gift. So can you tell them about that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so my you can get my free next level expansion toolkit, which just gives you a taste of the tools that I create. Because and in any of my programs, you're going to get access to my tools that I create for you to shift, move energy, create transformation, which are usually my breathwork sessions, meditations, and journaling. So the toolkit is a breathwork session. It's called the Ascension Activator. So it's like activating you into higher states of consciousness. And then I have a meditation and then a journaling around that too. So if you go to alysebreeze.com or you can access it from my Instagram, however you want, there's many ways to find it. I think I gave you a link that's
Yeah.
directly
We'll
to
have a
it.
link to the show
So
notes too. Yeah.
yeah, so you can definitely check that out if you're interested in seeing how the breath work works and seeing how it works for you. It's a great thing to go and download.
Yeah.
There's also a video in there that shows you how to do the breath work.
Cool. Cool. Yeah, let's check it out, guys. So I'm definitely gonna take a peek myself and see what Alyse has got going on with that. And so check that out. And you've got the URL from her, and then we'll put it in the show notes. But it's alysebreeze.com/free guided breathwork, or you can just go to alysebreeze.com. If all that's too
Yeah,
much,
you'll find it.
you'll find it anyway. So okay, so we're into the downloading. Yeah, we're talking about downloading. I might have a couple downloads for you today. We're in that segment of the show. You ready to receive whatever comes through, Alyse?
Absolutely. I can't wait.
Okay, awesome. All right. Yeah, I don't have a total clue what it'll be ever, but let's see what comes through. All right, here we go. Oh, wait a minute. I got to stop. No, you're one of those difficult closed people. I'll never be able to read you. No, I'm just joking. I just had to throw in a joke. Okay. All right. I've never done a joke during the segment. I had to do one for a change. I'm trying to infuse more humor in everything I do. So here we go.
Love it.
All right, here we
Love
go. You're blocking it. You're blocking it. At I'm just joking. You're totally open. Okay, so I see like just this huge energy. You're really sponge like you said, like, oh, I'm connected, I know what people are, but you're really sponge like. I mean, I think you got some good energetic walls, in there to protect you, but so to speak. But it's a huge open field, and so like it's sponge like. So you could attract, like, thank God that you're an abundance energy primarily, because otherwise some people are in this sort of sponge like way. They're in the inverse, right? Like all kinds of, oh my God, it feels so bad for them. They have all these health problems, all these things going on, but for you, like, because you're more abundant, you've got some good stuff. Let's see what's going on. Let's take a look at that, if you don't mind. Let's see
Sure.
more about that. Okay, so this work is really good for you to be doing, because one of the specific things is the sense of being lost. So people are, really open, talented, in the way that you are. Sometimes we're a great navigator. We can help, people see a spin, like the picture, spin, the direction spinning everywhere. The sign direction is spinning everywhere. You're like, yeah, I know which way to go. Don't even pay attention to that sign. Like, we're meant to fix that whole thing, but don't worry about it. It's here to help you, trust your guidance. So trust your guidance. Let's go. But what I'm trying to get to, there's so many things I want to always get to, but there's this sense of like, okay, I've got these gifts. I'm really smart, I guess, but I can understand things, but I kind of feel like a part. I don't know if it's today as much, but I feel apart from people. Maybe feeling not included is how I'm hearing. Like I'm not included. Like they all go run off, do this thing, and do I ever get invited? No. But that's okay. That's okay. I love them anyway, or whatever.
I mean, I think that what you're saying is like just this way that I always feel inherently different from people.
Yeah. Exactly. There's differentness, and so this could have been like way back in your high school, the specific scene. I pick up. You may not even remember the particular scene, but like there's this sort of thing like I'm not included it, like, and yeah, like you said that I'm so different, I'm so different. Like I don't fit in. I guess yeah, intellectually you'll be like, well, I guess it doesn't matter, I suppose, but it's kind of weird, right? Like, but why is so when it seems like we're so different, it's like, well, why am I so different? I don't get that, why am I so different, and that gets to be bewildering for us. So that's another aspect. Let's just get one more other thing coming in here. Yeah, the thing I keep getting to share with you today is I have a hunch that you don't fully appreciate how amazing you are as like a consultant, like as a coach, in terms of like people are like, oh, I got all this. This is a big problem, and they're throwing a billion things at you, and you're like, I see, like, yeah, you're like filing your nails. It's almost like you're at a beauty shop, right? You're like, yeah, well, sounds like all you need to do is this and that, and you'll be good. Oh my God, I never thought of that. I never could have thought of that. Thank you so much. I'll give you $5,000 just for that. I mean, so
that
like
is
that's
so
how
true.
profound that gift is. So I would have you really see like, how can I leverage that to the utmost to help people, and then and of course to receive and to benefit from it. But like, how can I help? Because imagine you got a call-in show. People are like, I don't know if that's part of your future yet, for sure, if you want to do that. But like, you got a call-in show, you got all these people. Like, it's easy for you can do it quick. So we don't need like to do all these endless sessions and everything. But if they really want to deepen, they just want that like an answer, like, right, okay, now you got this next level, like, oh man, we're gonna transform your being so you'll keep having these messes, right? So like maybe a first step of contact sometimes is just could be like this like profound, like, oh my God, you just have the answer. And then the next level could be like, yeah, but yeah, I don't want to keep creating these messes, right? All right, so you need this help then. All right, here, let's do this. So yeah. Oh, anyway,
that's really true. I mean, I feel like one of the things for me, just like to kind of respond to what you said, is I think because I'm so new at business, sometimes I'm like, can I really be a business coach? Because I literally had a zero business experience before I started my business. I was in education and I was like a bartender. Like I literally had no experience in business. So now to say like I am a business coach, like I'm even hesitant to say it, even though I do it.
Yeah.
with a lot of people,
Yeah.
it's still even hard for me to say because I feel like I'm almost not allowed or something, because I just don't, I have this story, but I also have built a really successful business in a short amount of time. So I guess
Right. The proof's of the pudding. You know how to build businesses. So right there.
yeah, thank you. I totally resonate with that.
Awesome. So great. And if people want to check me out, you can go to yoursacredpurpose.com. And after you get, Alyse's gift, of course, but you can go there and you can check out the Meditate and Make Money meditation. Does help to open up your energy and your chakras.
By the way, I've been doing it and I love
Oh,
it. I have to tell you, after you were on my podcast, I downloaded it and I love it. It's so good.
awesome. I told you guys it's good. Now go ahead, go get it. Those of you who keep hearing it, you're like, yeah, they're not going to bother.
No, it's good. It's really good.
Get it.
Definitely open some things up for me for sure.
That's awesome. And yeah, the energy comes in, like she said, opens you up. It gets the energy turned on where maybe it wasn't before. And yeah, you do get some mental answers too, but intuitive mental answers, but it's the energy, I think, is much more powerful, much more important. So check that out. And then there's an opportunity to get an energy scan from me on my website, the Rock Your Sacred Purpose Energy Scan. And yeah, see, I could have come up with a whole business plan like that. Not that Alyse is looking for maybe some new ideas and business plans, maybe not. But like I'm just saying, just like I'm starting to dial in for her, that's what I can do very rapidly for you guys as well, and just start dialing everything in. So you can get that session right there on yoursacredpurpose.com. Okay, the Rock Your Sacred Purpose Energy Scan, but only if you're ready to really rock. Okay, I must say that. All right. So, Alyse, as we're wrapping up today, do you have any last, words of wisdom for the audience?
I guess the only thing I would say is whatever it is that you truly feel you're supposed to do, to trust that and just keep going. Because as long as you keep going, things will work and get support.
Yes. And so it is. All right. Okay. Yeah. The trust is like one of those words that is big in my courses too. Like I just keep saying, it's all about trust. It's all about trust. So
absolutely. Yes, totally. That was a game changer for me.
So, all right, great. Well, it's been so great to have you on, Alyse. I really appreciate you and appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks to all our listeners. Thanks to you all for being here and listening in. Keep on tuning in, and we're going to keep on rocking it here on Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Till next time, everyone. Listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.